What's going on, everybody? Welcome here to a new YouTube video. Today we're going over some sleepers for the 2024 NFL Draft Offense Edition. All right, this is going to be a little bit shorter of a video because I've got a big video planned for next Friday. But for this Friday, I had to get something out, and I figured why not go over my sleepers. There we go. Now I've turned the Roku home screen off. Yeah, we're gonna get right into it. Going into my sleepers for the 2024 NFL Draft. As always, if you guys have your own opinions on this, be sure to let me know down in the comments before I get started. Your sleepers for the offense, defense will be coming out later in March. To get started, we're going with the quarterback position here. We're going to start with Carter Bradley from South Alabama. Carter Bradley is a really, really good player. He's kind of going under the radar. He played in the Senior Bowl, or he was at the Senior Bowl, participated in the practices. I can't remember if he played or not. I don't remember seeing him, but he might have played. I like Carter Bradley's tape a lot. He's a smart player, very experienced, had a lot of time. The athletic profile doesn't really jump off the board. The size is good, but he's not necessarily fast. The arm is just okay. It'll get you by in college. In the NFL, it'll do. Probably not ideal, but it'll do. The accuracy is nice. I think he looks through his check down at the appropriate times. He reads the field well. I just think Carter Bradley is primed to be a good quarterback in the NFL. I think when I mean good quarterback, I'm not talking like he could be number 15 in the league, good starter. I'm saying you draft Carter Bradley, this is sleepers for a reason, right? If you draft Carter Bradley in, let's say, the sixth round, he turns out to be trying to think of a decent backup here. I mean, Case Keenum, right? Case Keenum was a starter for some years. He had some good years, and he's been one of the best backups in the league for a long time. If he turned out to be Case Keenum, that is a good draft pick for the sixth round. And I really like Carter Bradley. I think he can make some noise as a potential sleeper for late round quarterbacks. Moving on here to running back, I'm going to go to Notre Dame. Audric Estime. He's a guy who was top of the NCAA in rushing this past season, close to the top. I can't remember if he did end up leading the NCAA in rushing yards, but he was definitely close if he wasn't the leader. He had a really productive 2023. He's a hard-nosed runner, good for about 5 a pop, and the breakaway speed is decent. It's not fully there. He reminds me a lot of Najee Harris, minus the receiving ability. Austin Estime really needs to work on the receiving ability, but he's just a hard-nosed fight for extra yards. He doesn't avoid contact necessarily. He invites it. He likes to kind of get down and dirty and lower the shoulder into the defenders. But there's a place for that in the NFL. He reminds me a lot of James Conner as kind of the pro comp I would give him. Conner, really good on the goal line, touchdown menace, really, really good power back, and has a lot of fresh legs in him. Estime, I think, could be a target for the NFL draft teams in need of a late running back. Going now to wide receiver, I'm gonna go to the group of five. I'm gonna go to Western Kentucky and go with Malachi Corley. I think he's the best, maybe the best slot receiver in this draft class. He's so electric with the ball in his hands. Great, great breakaway speed, a fluid, smooth route runner. The route tree could use developed a little bit more. The hands concern me a slight bit at times, as well as the size, a little short. That's why he would project to go into the slot. But Corley is electric. He could bring a lot of opening space and a lot of talent to an offense in the slot. I think he's got the ability to learn a more complex route tree. He's shown the ability to run routes fluidly, as well as move in space. Obviously, he's a really, really, really fast guy. I think a team is going to be very happy to get him. I think he's rising up boards at the moment. So you can still say he's a sleeper because I would probably have him as a top 5 wide receiver in this class for me. I think he'll probably go in the third round, third or fourth round, depending on how teams view him. I think he's going to test the combine, so we'll see how he does there. I'm really interested to see Malachi Corley's 40 time because that could determine quite a bit on where his draft stock goes. Teams really like to draft on the combine. I think you'll have a decent RAS score as well. If you don't know what the RAS score is, it is Relative Athletic Score by Kentley Platt on Twitter. He does these for every single prospect every single year in the draft. It just kind of takes your combine scores and your size measurements and all that and kind of puts it into a range, kind of with score. On Twitter, you can find that Kentley Platt. If I remember, I'll put that in the description. They're really, really interesting. He hasn't done them yet for this year because the combine hasn't happened. But I might be talking about do a combine video with the relative athletic scores when they come out. So we'll see. Yes, I do know this is a little bit of a shorter video. I did want to apologize for that, but just kind of a teaser for something we have going next week. I may or may not have set up some interviews with some people to get on this onto the channel. I'll leave it at that. Might be a new series coming for the interviews for the channel, but that's all you're going to get for now. Back to our regularly scheduled college football content. Moving on here to the tight end position, we're going to go with Jack Westover as my sleeper out of Washington. Westover was an integral part of that Washington offense. Penix liked to give him the ball short. It was schemed a lot by Kalen DeBoer. Westover had a lot of production for the tight end position in college, but you don't see a ton of rookie production for tight ends. Nowadays, it's kind of been blown out of proportion this past season with Sam Laporta going absolutely crazy as far as production goes. But typically, you don't get rookie tight end production very highly in the NFL. But I think Westover could come in and kind of be like a Laporta rise late in the draft cycle. He's not the biggest guy, he's not the fastest guy, he's not the most athletic guy, but he's smart. He doesn't really have drop issues. He gets open. He fights for extra yards. Westover, I think, is just going to be a valued piece as a tight end, as well as something that's very underrated for tight ends nowadays. He blocks. He's a good blocker. He's a solid blocker. The length and the athleticism, like I mentioned, isn't necessarily there, and neither is the size, but that's not all you need to be a good blocker. He blocks smart, right? He knows the spots. He knows how to dig his legs into the ground, not get beat by a defender while blocking. Westover, really, really good player. And speaking about blocking, we'll move on to our last position group here. I just went O-line as a whole, right? O-line as an entire general. I went with a guard from Michigan who, unfortunately, did not get to play the entire season for the Michigan Wolverines. Zach Zinter for Michigan was an exceptional guard, right? He got hurt middle of the season, couldn't finish out the year. It was a tough blow that a lot of people thought would hurt the Michigan Wolverines. Turns out they won the national championship. But Zinter was a big part of that team in the first few weeks of college football season. He is such a solid blocker. You don't see many mistakes from Zinter on tape. He plays with a good pad level, digs his feet into the ground, knows how to move, knows how to beat the stronger blockers, knows how to kind of neutralize the ones who try to get around them with speed. I think Zinter is just a plug and play. I think because of the injuries, he's going to fall a little bit, but I think he's still a really, really highly viewed prospect. He might be my top guard prospect if you're not counting the tackles who are projected to move the guard, like Troy Fautanu or Graham Barton potentially. But Zach Zinter might even still beat out Graham Barton. I don't know about Fautanu, but Zinter is really, really good. I think he's a plug and play day one starter in the NFL. Put him at right guard. You can lock down the run game, protect your quarterback, and Zinter's going to be a coveted piece that someone's going to get in the fourth round or later, I believe. And that will do for this video. I know, guys, I'm sorry. Short video, just one player per position group. It's going to be the same way for the defense, one player per position group. I won't be roping in corners with safeties like I did tackles with guards. This one just had to go a little quickly. I've been really, really busy this week setting things up, broadcasting games. As you guys know, I am a broadcaster as well. I have to work on the call sheet, spotting boards, as well as get their setup, get the game storylines, as well as broadcast. I got to keep my voice for that. So I'm filming kind of late here on Thursday night, getting this up for you guys Friday. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like, subscribe. Tell me who your sleepers are for this class, as well as maybe just your favorite prospect that you've gotten to scouting yet. As far as me, I really enjoyed watching Joe Milton. Not necessarily because he's great. It was a fun watch. It was just an interesting watch. His tape is kind of goofy at times. It's fun. But yeah, all my links are in the description. I got Twitter, I got Instagram, I got a podcast, and as well, you can find it on Instagram, Spotify, or YouTube, as well as you're watching this on YouTube now. And I will see you all in next week's video with the first episode of the interview series.